Hi, welcome back to Cup of Joe. I'm Joe Siegel.
And I'm Leonard Siegel, Joe's brother.
Hey, I just wanted to share a few thoughts with you today about what's going on and how we could help each other, how we could deal with and cope with this crazy, upsetting situation going on in the United States of America. And it's really infuriating. It's upsetting. I shared on Blue Sky recently. It feels like I'm watching America die. And I think it feels that way to a lot of us because in a lot of ways we are. Because what is America but an agreement that we're going to obey the rule of law together, the regulations and rules of how we live together, treat each other, obey the laws of courts and judges, and vote and accept the elections that we have and have fair and free elections. And these things have all been hijacked and challenged. It's been said, and I think will be shown that Donald Trump stole this election, suppressed the votes of millions of Americans, and the Attorney General said had there had been enough time, he had the evidence to have a trial of Donald J. Trump and convict him on the evidence of attacking the United States of America, attempting to overthrow democracy and overturn the election that he lost fairly to Joseph Biden, President Biden. And then he did everything he could with all his millions of dollars to stall justice and intimidate the Attorney General Garland, who did not act swiftly enough. And it's my contention that Donald Trump should have been arrested on January 7th. He should have been held without bond and given a speedy trial. He was a threat then to all of the United States and beyond, and is even more of a threat now that his Supreme Court has given him immunity and that he has given away our country to the world's richest man, Elon Musk, who no one elected and who clearly has become mentally and emotionally unstable and dangerous, and is set about now to destroy some of the congressionally mandated, democratically agreed upon structures of our government that we created to help the most vulnerable among us, the disabled, the poor, veterans who fought and suffered and were injured for our country and for our very democracy.
And not just the people who, the average person or the people who are in greater need, but he's talking about changing all the rules of the economy. That's going to affect every business, affect every farmer, which is a kind of business, affect every corporation, affect our relationship with corporations and governments around the world, where it's like he's turning the apple cart upside down. That's just going to affect everyone, and no one voted for it. And any other previous administration, you would have to get votes in Congress and also make sure that everything you do is legal and pass it.
And everything he's doing, everything he's doing is unconstitutional and illegal. So
before we go into things that people can do, let's talk about how people can deal with all the emotion about this to help to be healed emotionally, and protect our health, and then get to protecting our wealth and our homes.
Right. So first, protect yourself. Right. When you go on an airplane and we used to call them stewardess, the flight attendant says, as the mask drops down, the oxygen mask drops down in the case of an emergency, first put the mask on yourself and then your child, right? So, and why do they say that? Because you need to be strong enough so that you can act to protect those around you who are less capable or who are vulnerable. And so what we need to do is to protect ourselves first. And so it's important to be informed, but we don't need to be inundated by so much of the information that we become paralyzed by fear and anger.
In fact, one of the things that I heard someone had advice besides limiting the every minute, moment by moment video, which has a much more greater impact on our emotions, to actually just go ahead and read. Because if you go and read it, takes some of the emotional sting to it. Because the more fear you feel and the more overwhelm and emotion you feel, the harder it is to stay healthy, as well as to have critical thinking involved in ways to go ahead and respond to it in an appropriate and effective ways.
And I know it's takes more effort to read than to have somebody speak to you on video. It's less stimulating sometimes, but that's what we need. So read a newspaper, subscribe to a local paper if possible. It's very important, and read something every day, as well as read a good book or two. And so that's one way. And the other thing is to make sure that you're not just consuming and taking in everything that is being put out there in the media, but you're also creating. That you're also that's part of being human. We take in and we put things out in the world. So it could be that you're creating through writing your own blog, or writing a book, or writing an essay, or just
doing art, or creating little projects
that's right.
sell.
You could be growing something in the garden. You could be working on pottery, or creating some painting or doodling or art, but just express yourself however you can creatively. It's good for us, and it helps the world to have more art and creative expression in the world. So do whatever that is for you. For me, I love writing, and so that's what brings me peace, and I love expressing myself through these videos and doing my creative writing. And then share what you find that other people have created as well. And even if you see something that strikes your fancy, buy their creation, their book, their artwork. And there are independent bookstores out there. I'm sharing some links to some of them, so you don't actually necessarily have to go on Amazon to buy a book. You could buy a book through many independent websites and stores. And
Okay.
so you could go to independent bookstores and please support them, and support local artists that you find, and local writers on Blue Sky and wherever you find them. And encourage people that you find people are angry out there. I'm angry, right, Leonard?
Right.
And so when you see people who are in pain, the first thing to do is probably not to tell them to calm down. That never works. Not to tell them their pain doesn't.
Well, what should they say instead?
I'm getting there.
Oh, great. Thanks. Curious minds want to know.
Is to validate their pain. Say, hey, brother, sister, you are not alone. You are right to feel that way. I feel that way too. We're all in this together. We're going to get through this together. Just let people know you hear them. Your presence with people is your present to people, right? And we need to be present with each other in this time. And we may feel overwhelmed and outpowered by the powers that be, but we are many and they are few. And we need to be together and stick together like glue.
Great rhyme.
We are many and they are few. We need to be together and stick together like glue.
Right, and so make sure you don't. You're not isolating. Make sure you're reaching out to people. There are people probably in your contact list, your email list. They say one of the things is create a list and say, okay, every day or every week, I'm going to touch base with someone from work or from high school or whatever, and just say, hey, how are you doing? So you have a habit of reaching out to people and connecting. There's a lot of power to that. There's a lot of power to joining in with social groups, a polling group, a card group, a reading group.
And that's right. Every great idea, great point, Leonard. Not everything has to be a political group or process, right? To have political power. Because there's power in our being connected as human beings. So if you can be part of a book club or a knitting group or a card playing group or your community center or reading books to the elderly or to young children, be involved if you can. If that's within your makeup to be around people, it's good for all of us, and it makes us politically stronger when we bond together as neighbors and community, and you're sitting in a waiting room for some doctor's office or something. You could strike up a friendly conversation, and it doesn't have to be, and it probably shouldn't be necessarily about Donald Trump or
no, it should definitely not
be about
anything
him. But
controversial or upsetting.
But just to make human connections, about and that is a revolutionary thing to do. Making more human connections is a revolutionary thing to do. Yes, Leonard?
Tell them about meetup.com.
There's a site called meetup.com, and it is a place where people create groups and then post their events. And anybody can create and post an event. I believe it's free.
Right. Well, okay. It's free to go to any of the groups. Some of the groups have like a paid meeting, but most of them, and so now because of the internet, you can join groups all around the world of any number of interests. Could be food, cooking, and then there's groups that in your local area that may go for walks together or do knitting together or something like that.
And as, God forbid, hopefully Elon Musk and Trump are not successful at eviscerating our social services and our government agencies that we depend on for Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, WIC, Head Start, all of these things that help to keep people alive. We need to stop that. We need to get rid of him. We need to get him out of there, and Trump too. So hopefully they do not succeed. But in the event, and to whatever extent that they do, we're going to need each other more and more. We're going to need to be present in our communities to be there. If someone needs help with a ride or childcare or some food, ride to the market,
or just someone to talk to.
Absolutely.
One of the previous, what is the doctor of the United States called?
Surgeon General.
Surgeon General said what he felt was the biggest problem in America, and this was, I think, under the previous president. He said is loneliness. So just to reach out to your neighbors that maybe so many people who live by themselves, and just say, hey, how are you doing, is a very healing thing for the whole community, the fabric of the community.
And when we're on social media as well, we don't have to argue about every little thing. You said something wrong, you did something wrong that wasn't exactly perfect. Somebody said something or wrote something that wasn't exactly what you agree with or perfect.
Or you agree with 90%, but only want to go ahead and correct the one little thing that's wrong without first starting and saying, oh, here's the part I agree with. If you don't at least start with all the things like, well, thanks for saying this, and the other thing, here's the things I agree with, and you just start with, oh, you just misspelled this one word, or you did this or this wrong, they will think you disagree with everything that they said. So
that's right. And you don't know what somebody's going through. So your little nitpicking thing that you're saying, oh, you didn't put a comma in right, it could just, spin them out and bum them out and trigger them and make them feel like nobody loves them, because of some little thing that really doesn't matter. So think about it, pause, and where possible, encourage people, appreciate them, show some appreciation. It goes a long way, right? And so that's a way that we could counter the cruelty, because I'll tell you, what I see out there with this, what Elon Musk is doing, shutting down U.S. aid to the poor, to shutting down, Trump shutting down PEPFAR, the aid for AIDS victims in Africa, and it's all about cruelty. From the moment Trump, made fun of the reporter who was disabled, it is all about being cruel and mean. And Trump liked to say, "Oh, you're a nasty woman," or "You're a nasty."
Okay.
Well, that's a projection. Everything he does is projection and a confession. And we need to be the opposite, not more nasty, not more mean, but we need to be the opposite and model the energy that in the country that we want to be with each other, and we will overcome. Like that great song that the great Pete Seeger wrote, "We Shall Overcome," in the 60s during the civil rights conflict, the civil rights challenge.
Now here's one of the things to keep in mind. During this time, and the way that Donald Trump got elected and got this power, is that he wants us to not trust each other, to be angry at each other,
divide and conquer,
and to fight each other, so that he's free to go ahead and
steal all our money.
Basically steal the money.
That's what it's about. It's all about getting a giant tax cut that's coming up now. Representative Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, is doing great work explaining everything on her Instagram and on YouTube. You can find it as well. And what she's explaining is that all of this shutting down, this the stuff about efficiency bullshit is a lie. It's all to try and justify this massive theft that they want to do with a tax cut that during Trump won his first term, he did this massive $2 trillion tax theft for the rich. That almost all went to the rich. And now he wants something more than twice as big, over $4 trillion in tax cuts to the rich. And the only way they could get away with doing that is if they could say, well, we cut all of this wasteful spending on Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare and education and the poor, so now we could help them by giving all the money to the rich people, and we need to stop that.
Okay,
so that's what this is about.
I want to say the thing that gives him the power that got him elected, supposedly elected, was by telling his base to hate other Americans. And so support me. And that's where his support comes from, to be able to steal the money, not only from the people who didn't vote for him, but even the people who voted for him. He plans to, if you're not rich, he's planning on stealing the money from all of you. And so...
and really, he's threatening the livelihood of rich people, too.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted, okay? If you're in the 1% and even the 1/10 of 1%, you're a very wealthy, fortunate person. He's threatening to take down, if he takes down the rule of law, the court system, disobeys federal judges, then all those contracts that you have, that you depend on for your intellectual property rights, for your inventions, your patents, and your business are worthless.
Okay,
He could take them away with a stroke of a pen. And so if he doesn't if you don't bend a knee to him, you could lose everything. And your children could lose everything. So
and
every
to
one
all
of
the
us,
billionaires, all of the thousands and thousands of billionaires watching today, we'd like to thank you and for helping us to go ahead and try to save America. But for the overwhelming of the average people, if you want to go ahead and help, when they want to go ahead and get you upset at someone who doesn't look like you or someone who hates you, you feed into that, empowering him to steal the money from everyone. From both sides of the aisle, the middle class, the poor people.
right?
And
Don't look left or right. Look up.
Well,
That's at Trump and Musk. Those are the real enemies that we face. Those are the enemies of the United States of America. Remember when he said the press was the enemy of America?
It was
Remember,
the enemy of them.
It's and every accusation is a confession. Okay, just remember that. So he's the enemy of America. He's threatening everything that our parents, our grandparents worked for, and some died for. And so what we need to do is to help each other, come together and stay together, encourage each other, love one another, and then get him and Musk the hell out of our White House.
And the only
because
way
they
to
stole the election, and now they're about to steal our democracy and all the money in the Treasury.
So what can they do? I think that what I'm saying, I want to make sure they hear, is that as hard as it is, we need to be able to reach across to the other people who voted for him and say, this is bad for everybody, not just the people who didn't vote for him. And the rich people suffer when he takes away all the money and the funding that the average person gets. We're the customers for the rich people. If the rich people don't have any customers, they don't have a business. So
and the recent polling has showed that Elon Musk's ratings amongst MAGA voters is going through the roof, through the floor. It's falling through the floor. They can see. They didn't vote for this guy. They voted for Trump. They didn't vote, and you can see Trump was sitting there in his Oval Office twiddling his thumbs and looking dejected like a sad little boy because somebody else got the spotlight. And President Musk towering over him, explaining his plans for destroying America. So they don't like that, and I don't blame them.
And they're not the enemy. They have been fed a
Lies.
bunch of lies about other people, because here's what happens. If you can go ahead and get someone upset, you stop their critical thinking, and then you stop them from stopping them from stealing whatever, the law, the money, the safety net. I was just watching a video about how all that money that was going to, all the money for food to go to poor people in America and to other countries, which, to stop these people from starving to death, that was actually a support fund for the farmers in America. Because
massively. Trump and Musk massively.
Overwhelmingly
they
supported
voted for
and
Trump.
Now he's taking away the money that they depended on to keep their farmers going by saying, we're just not going to send money to poor people in the United States, freeloaders or around the world, and we're just going to let them starve to death because otherwise they're taking advantage of us. No, that money went to fund farmers in America who grow food, not just for the world, but also for all of us, and even the middle class. When their farms collapse, that's going to affect everyone. So the whole system is being upended. We need to reach across the aisle. And any conversation I've ever had with someone from the left side of the aisle or right side of the aisle, there's one thing that everyone agrees on, and that is that they're against corruption.
Greedy people suck.
So but not just greedy. So I'm going to be greedy and say I'm going to charge more. But right. I'm saying where you steal money, you break the rules. They are against corruption. And when I go ahead and ask, when you and I vote for candidate A or B, and another person gives that candidate who wins $1 million, who does that person work for? You or I who got their vote, or that person who gave them $1 million? And they all agree they're not working for us.
So we need to get money out of our elections, and there are moves afoot to do that in California, to have public finance elections. And so we need to all support that, get the billionaires out of our government, out of our elections, and we can start with Elon Musk. He has no business and being in our government, and this is not the way government works. The Constitution matters. Congress has the power of the purse. They vote. They're our representatives. They're supposed to be our representatives. And so they vote on where the money goes, and no unelected person like Elon Musk or president for that matter can then come in and arbitrarily say, no, that money will not be spent. And that's what judge after judge after judge has said with injunctions to stop them.
And so, if for someone who didn't vote for Donald Trump, actually the majority of people in the United States didn't vote for anyone.
Right.
They didn't vote for anyone.
Right.
It's debatable about whether Trump even got a majority, but however things were finagled that he got to be in the office, his base that controls both Donald Trump, or supports Donald Trump, and controls the
Congress.
Senate, the Congress, the Senate, and the House.
Right.
We need to reach across the aisle to those people and form a unity, not just like unions, and that's great and so forth, but we need to break the cycle of fear and anger and hatred. And when we all work together to save America for Americans, and together lock arms, people of every different background locking arms together, going to our red state and blue state legislators,
absolutely,
and saying, tell Donald Trump he does not have my vote to do this.
Tell Donald Trump and Elon Musk to get your hands off of my Medicare, off my Social Security.
Yeah, okay, and that's going to happen when the red state people, so blue state people, you need to form coalitions
with your cousins in red states, or if you live in red states, with people and that you meet in your diners, in your churches, in your book clubs, at the supermarket, and at the auto mechanic, wherever you are, because we, the people, that's why it's in those huge letters on the Declaration of Independence, we, the people, are the primary power that gives our consent to be governed. And without our consent, then they have nothing over us. So we need to reach out to people, even though we're angry at them. A lot of us are furious with them for voting for Donald Trump. They got lied to in this way.
Or there will always be some media person will say, look at this one person, look at this one immigrant. So like here, the thing about immigrants, our country was founded immigration. We're the envy of the world. Other countries are suffering, but we have enough immigration to keep our economy going, to keep prices low and profits high for everyone, so everyone can go ahead and get paid. 80% of new businesses in the United States are formed by either immigrants or the children of immigrants. Some of the biggest, most successful companies in the world are, again, from immigrants or the children of immigrants. Immigrants have made this country strong. To go ahead and attack them and make them the problem, immigrants actually, just to make sure that they're accepted here in America, they produce a lower level of crime and problems than the
Native
average
Americans,
than the regular
native-born Americans commit crimes at a far lower rate than immigrants do.
No, you meant the opposite.
I meant the opposite. You're right. Thank you, Leonard. That immigrants commit crimes at a far lower rate than native-born Americans
They're the
do.
safest people to have in America.
Because they don't want to get deported, and so they keep their heads down and work hard and pay in sales taxes.
They're the ones helping to make America great. And when they demonize them and get people angry at them, we need to go ahead and have a campaign and an appreciation for immigrants to help us, and we need to do, because when they're doing that to just get people angry, so we don't see the people and Congress and the White House stealing the money, changing the tax code, stopping the money from going to farms and small family farms, so forth. We need to all unite together to keep America.
I know it, and I know it's going to be hard. I know some of you are screaming at the screen, right. I'm not going to be friends with those MAGA people. Hell with those people. They put us in this situation. I understand that.
But they have been fooled by the lying media, which they depend on what they call the First Amendment, which makes it legal. I don't know how it's legal to lie and misinform people. And so, and then also come up with that one. They'll come up with that one story about this one immigrant who did something wrong, but they won't tell you about all the immigrants who are actual heroes, who fought in wars for us, are in the military,
first responders,
or actually saved people from a first-person shooter event. You know, they don't talk about all the things that these people do heroically to help all our lives in America every day. So MAGA people, we need to get the word out to them, and we need to, all of us, be more supportive of each other so that we have a supportive environment for the average person, because that's what makes America great, is for us to work hard and build wealth for everyone.
Okay, on that positive note, thank you for this time here at Cup of Joe, where we talk about this really distressing time.
Take care of your health. Get plenty of sunshine, walks, healthy food, stay hydrated.
Good music.
You can even find videos that'll say good news channels that are inspiring, and channels that
encourage each other as much as you can. Pick fights sparingly, and
they're stealing. If they can get you upset, they're stealing money. I want to tell this one story. There is this one conservative. I'm blanking on his name. He was a publisher of a very conservative magazine many years ago during the time of the Soviet Union, and he even said, if they try to scare you and say the Soviet Union is coming, he said, hold on to your wallet. When they try to scare you, it's to go ahead and steal your money. So when they try to anger you, it's to go ahead and all people are born good and caring and loving, and by nature, the only thing that corrupts that is through fear and misinformation to get people to hate each other. And it's through that opposite, through caring and healing of ourselves and reaching out to our neighbors, that we can go ahead and restore humanity for all of us and the world.
We'll get through this, folks, with each other. I'm Joe Siegel.
I'm Leonard Siegel. We are the Kindness Brothers.
And here at Cup of Joe, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Thank you.